welcome back to another week of fall watching. I do have a hello to say from the weekend, but before I do, let's talk about if we're gonna have a kid tonight or this week, or I don't know, because the vibes are a little bit different compared to the last two. The last two, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have kids for sure. It's just a matter of how many. And then they all waited until my night off, which was rude. This week, it's definitely kind of more of like, maybe, potentially, I don't know. This life is good. She's kind of been rocking on and off wax. She doesn't really have the biggest bag. That being said, she also, this is what she currently looks like. Oh my God. I'm trying to fix you. Anyway, this is what she currently looks like, right? Obviously, she has room to fill out and develop a little bit more. But if I recall correctly, this is her second baby. If I recall, first bag, she didn't really get very much of a bag. Obviously, this is her second baby, so she should have a bigger bag in general. Hi, mama. But obviously, some mares are naturally just, itty bitty titty committee. Because I do have a few over there that are kind of just naturally, they never get very big. And obviously with her having on and off wax, kind of questioning it. Weekend said she was pretty quiet by the sounds of it. So, she's something I wouldn't be surprised if she goes this week. But I'm still kind of thinking she's going to go more of next week. This Archangelo. Listen to me. On Friday before I left, she was driving me up a wall. Like, absolutely up a wall. She was uncomfortable and stretchy, and she wanted to lay down, and she just was not comfortable, okay? Now, here's the thing. Last year, she was the one, if you all remember the U-Pond, that drove me up a wall on this corner. That was her. She did that for 2 weeks, where she was annoying as could be. And before she finally foaled. And I was like, thank God. And then I think it was either the year before that or 2 years ago. I know she had a break. She had a break either the year before. Anyway, so it was either 2 years ago or something of that nature. She had a matoli. And she had been waxed up and quiet for about 2 weeks. And she was the whole reason I even started fall watching, is because I was like, oh, she's going to be the first one to go. And she was quiet and content, did nothing, did not move, didn't sneeze, didn't do nothing. And then quite literally just laid down and popped, was totally caught off, despite the fact she had wax and everything, totally caught all of us off guard, because we were like, whoa, hi, babies. Baby, single baby. But yeah, so I don't really know what she's planning to do this year. So I'm keeping an eye on her, because I don't know. She stresses me out. Those two are definitely kind of our main contenders on this side. Realistically, I think the Archangelo is the best bet for tonight if she wants to do something. But she also does not currently have wax. Her bag is fairly full. I think if she could stand to fill out just a little bit more. But, realistically, given her history, I wouldn't be surprised if she just drops and pops and does the thing. We also have 3 others down here. I wouldn't be surprised if they go this week. This is my personal mare, Miss Brown, with my Nashville. I thought she might have wax when I came back from the weekend. Currently, she does not. She's pretty full, but she's not quite there yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if she goes this week. This mare is an early voting. She's another one I wouldn't be surprised if she goes more toward end of this week and also next week kind of vibes. She's always very obvious with when she's going to pop, because she turns into an absolute angel. She's not quite at that angel stage yet. We also have this Olympiad. I don't really know her, to be honest. I don't know if she's a first timer or a second timer, so I need to ask them to figure that out. But she's starting to relax behind. If you kind of see where her hip kind of turns into a little bit more of a triangle shape behind, it's kind of just where all the muscles up there are relaxing in preparation to deliver a baby. So that's starting to happen. The reason I say I need to find out if she's a maid or not is because she's also kind of rocking itty bitty titties, but they're full, so yeah, she could grow some more, but they're pretty filled out for what size they are currently at. Also her due date was a week ago, so I wouldn't put it past her, because I also don't know her on what she's planning on doing. Anyway, so that's kind of the current vibe. As of tonight, I really don't think we're gonna have a baby, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone decides to be a surprise. But yeah, I'm kind of curious if this is actually gonna be a quiet week. I said the Q word out loud. Now I'm gonna jinx it. Or what is the plan? Anyway, we had a kid over the weekend. Hold on. Oh my goodness. And I did say, I was like, I'll be very surprised if she doesn't foal over the weekend. And sure enough, we had a baby. This is a Taiba, whatever the heck it's called, filly. Listen, the way it's spelled does not look like the way it's pronounced. Okay, they say it with like a Y, and I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so obviously we've had nothing. It's been just a filly year this year, and a filly with white face here. She's got quite a bit of white all over her face. Yes. She was actually, I'm surprised she's currently laying down and sleeping, because she was bouncing off the walls earlier when I was first doing checks. Oh my goodness. A big stretch. Yes. I honestly I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy little chestnut babies, because they just get this little pink tinge around their eyeball. Isn't that right? What are you doing? She goes, I was sleeping, man. Let me sleep. I'll let you sleep. But yeah, so I definitely wasn't surprised, because I had a feeling, I was like, yeah, she's kind of on par. She's had wax for a couple days, and then she got uncomfortable that one night. And then sure enough, baby, as it was so nice to have, a regular experience compared to the other two that foaled the night she was a little uncomfortable, because those two legitimately just laid down and popped. And I was like, bro, a warning is appreciated. I did tell my weekend that too. I was like, hey, heads up. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of them are kind of just laying down and popping without giving us much of a heads up. And they were like, yeah, that one did that to me. And so did the other one over there. And she's like, I was lucky that I happened to be standing over there. I was like, I said the same thing with this one. Oh my gosh, freaking my stalls right now. So do we remember on Friday, we had a whole bunch of crazy weather, right? And then Friday, we got struck by, or was it Friday or Thursday? It was Thursday. I don't know. Thursday, we got struck by lightning, right? And I told day shift, I said, hey, heads up, lightning struck, right? And we lost power for a while, but the power came back. Then we also lost water. And they were like, that doesn't make any sense, because they're not connected. I'm like, I'm well aware they're not connected. I'm just telling you what happened, man. And so turns out that lightning did in fact hit like the I don't know what, it hit something very like conveniently, and it busted the water pipe. So originally it was just one section like well over there, and they got it fixed, right? They fixed it, so they turned on the water, and they're like, I think we got it. Awesome, cool, phenomenal. And then and then like an hour later they had to shut it back off, because these two stalls suddenly started flooding with water, and they're like, what the heck? And then they found that there was another thing in here, and I was like, that's new, because that wasn't there when I did it. Anyway, so yeah, it's been a whole thing. I'm glad at least it waited until after that mare foaled, because all we just did is just switch stalls around. It was fine. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the current vibe. There's definitely a possibility of a kid not knocking it out, that's for sure. As of right now, though, vibes are definitely kind of like, compared to freaking the last like 2 weeks, it feels a lot quieter and calmer. Obviously, I've got this mare out here snoozing. She's been snoozing since I got here. She's like, yes. It's so hard taking care of this baby all day. So difficult. Anyway, I guess we're gonna buckle in and see if anyone decides to do anything. But realistically, I don't think tonight. But probably closer to the end of the. You know what? We have a horse potentially running at Kingland on, I think, Saturday, something like that. So maybe that's what they're gonna wait for us to try and sneak off to the racetrack and be like, surprise. It is Tuesday evening. Nothing ended up happening last night. However, when I first arrived, no one really had wax. We knew the Life is Good had kind of been on and off with a little bit of it. But now I've got 3 that have wax. Hi, Mama. And honestly, I was looking at this mare and I was like, man, I should have done before and after picture. Or I need to do before and after pictures of what some of these mares look like physically. Like, like when they first come into the barn. Hi. When they first come into the barn, all the way up until they foal, and then maybe like a couple days after they foal, just so you all see how physically they change, so like in that period of time. Because if you looked at her, she was interesting because all her nipples were what filled out first, right? She didn't have any of the actual like bag, right? Now her bag is finally starting to actually fill out and catch up with the nipple. You can't see it because it's on the other side, but she just had the tiniest bit of wax on the left nipple. Not only that, but she actually did have a decent little bit last night. I don't think she's gonna foal tonight. I do think she's more of an end of the week or next week candidate, more than likely. Obviously, where she's a first timer, you never know, right? Oh my god. So, you know, keeping an eye on her. This life is good. I've mentioned her before. She's had on and off wax. Her bag is definitely starting to fill out a little bit more. She's always been team itty bitty titty committee. She just kind of has small nipples, you know, nothing really she can do. Goodness, that was this loud sound. Nothing really much you can do about that, and not that it's just how she physically is. So she definitely keeping an eye on her. She's had wax now on and off for a few days, and you know, it is what it is. This is the one I'm pretty sure is going to fall in the next 48 hours. Whoa. Hi. This is the Archangelo. She was really annoying on Friday. Now here's the thing. We've had this mare a couple times. She always kind of changes it up, what she does. So she's never really been consistent in how like she is before she foals. Sometimes she just drops and pops. Other times she's annoying for 2 weeks. So, you know, I don't know. She just does what she does. But I have a feeling she's going to go in the next 48 hours. And if I'm wrong, then she's going to drag this out for another 2 weeks. Like, there's no in between. But I say that because this is new. So she did not have this amount of wax until last night. So last night, when I first came in at 7 p.m., she didn't have anything. And then at 5 a.m., she had a lot of wax, but not this type of wax. This is, we joke it, oh, is it stalagmite? Stalagmite? One of them's wrong, one of them's right. Whichever one is from the top, not the bottom. Anyway, she's got little stalactite titties. Yeah, so I got a feeling 48 hours-ish. I wouldn't be surprised if it's tonight or tomorrow, something in that zone. But yeah, I'm keeping an eye on her for obvious reasons. And then also because she's also been a little uncomfortable. Like, she keeps raising her tail, like, periodically, not to actually pee or anything, just as a baby kick me, something's shifting. But yeah, she's also done it before, though, where she's waxed up and for 2 weeks she was annoying. So I also wouldn't put it past her to do that. But gut feeling, 48 hours. Hopefully. Maybe. Potentially. Isn't that right? Yes. She's like, I don't know why you have to talk to me. I don't know. Anyway, those are definitely our 3 main contenders. We do have these 3 down here as well that they're pretty full. But I wouldn't put it past them to finally start waxing up and, you know, popping soon. But, like, you know, there's not really a rush on it. It's just kind of like they've been doing what they've been doing, and they've been doing a great job. And they're coming right on time. But obviously keeping an eye on them just because. So, obviously we have my Nashville. Oh, congratulations to you. By the way, your son won today. Actually, that officially makes me 100% of winners of starters again, which is really nice to have. So basically, whenever I say that, I mean, as an owner, like as a someone who owns racehorses, every single one of my personal racehorses has had a race, and they have now won, right? So I am 100% as an owner, but I'm also now 100% as a breeder. So every single horse that I have bred so far that has raced is also a winner. So that's not, listen, it's a whole lot easier to do when you're smaller, okay? I think I only have 6, 8, something like that are currently running. Bless you. That are currently running. So like it's easier to do it compared to like when you have 200. But it is kind of just nice to have that little 100% mark. But yeah, she's pretty full, but she does not have wax yet, so I really wouldn't, you know. She could do whatever. Same thing with this girl. She's pretty full, doesn't have wax yet. That being said, both these ladies have always been really good about waxing before they foal. And so whether it be, you know, waxing here a couple hours before they foal or waxing a whole day or two, guess we're going to find out. And then obviously we have, oh, what were you again? I forgot. Hold on. Oh, Olympiad. That's what you are. We also have this Olympiad. I don't know her. Like, to be blunt, obviously some of these mares, I have no clue. I've never met them. It really doesn't matter, right? As long as you're keeping an eye on them, you're going to catch them. And then obviously other of these mares I have a long-standing history with, and so I typically know what they're more likely going to do. I don't know her. So I'm kind of just keeping an eye on her because she could kind of do whatever. She's pretty full. But like if I'm looking at her, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a more of a next week situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's this week. Bless you. That's kind of the current vibe. Anyway, that's all I got for right now. Wouldn't be surprised if we at least have the one tonight. I would be surprised if we have two, but you know, it's kind of that time of year. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really glad we didn't have one last night. It got really cold and it's kind of still chilly now, but like I wasn't even under a wind advisory or nothing, but like the wind really picked up and I was like, good Lord. I was like, a little warning would have been nice. And then also, I'm not gonna lie, I also wouldn't put it past, I wouldn't mind not having one tonight, only if they could actually get my whole thing situated by tomorrow. I don't know how much longer this is. I'm not gonna lie. Bless these guys. Bless them, because they have really, you can tell they're just mad about it at this point, because every time they think they figure it out, they find something different. And honestly, listen, I do not work construction. I do not work in architecture, nothing like that, right? But sometimes I look at the way things are designed and I will think, I'm like, okay, what happens though if something goes wrong? Like, how easily accessible is this in order to fix? And this is definitely one of those situations I was like, no, they did not plan this accordingly, because it just sucks for everyone involved. But yeah, bless them. Apparently, last night when I was like sitting in that room, I like looked down and I saw this little tiny hole and I was like, it's perfectly drilled. But I was like, I don't think that was there before. Maybe it is. It's so small that like maybe it has been there before and I've just never noticed it. And I guess my answer was no, it was new, because there's now a giant hole and they're working on things under the sinks. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Bless their hearts. You can tell that they're just like, oh, we thought it was going to be a nice, easy one-day job. And now they're on day, like, 4. Isn't that right? This is such a friendly baby. He's so silly. Yeah. Yeah. Bye. Anyway, I guess we're going to buckle in, see if she decides to do anything. Again, the irony, how I was like, listen, I'm going to show you more of the before it happens, right? She didn't walk. She didn't get sweaty. Nothing. I just happened to walk by. She kept nickering at me, and I was like, what do you want? And then as soon as I turned on the light, she broke water. Why? You didn't walk? You didn't do anything that you all normally do? You're not even toasty? I know. All right. Oh, goodness. Look what you started. Stop. This is what happens when I just, talk out loud. I literally admitted to you all, I was like, listen, I haven't been doing my due justice. I haven't been showing you all the proper before, and then honestly I should probably do a little bit more after too, but then I do worry that these will be too long. It's just because I ramble too much. I need to stop with the rambling. Anyway, I need to do better before stuff, and as soon as I say that out loud, they don't give me a proper heads up. And when I talk about what things I'm looking for in a mare getting close to foaling, is I'm looking for a mare who's potentially like stretching, she's walking, she gets warm, uncomfortable. Like there are some mares who are very subtle about it, and she's a mare that we've had in the past that she has been sneaky in the past, but she's also drug it out for 2 weeks. And so I was like, either or is going to be the situation. But I typically am looking for any signs of change. There was legitimately freaking was walking back and forth, right? Just, pacing slightly, as one does. Because just minding my own business, waiting for my coffee to brew. And when I walked by the first time, she kind of nickered at me, and I was like, that's a little suspicious. And I kind of had, peeked in her stall when I walked by, and there wasn't anything. And then I walked back by that way, and she nickered at me again. And I was like, okay. So I kind of turned around again to open the door and check on her, which again, I typically don't like just jump into their stall. You know, I typically try to just leave them be. And as soon as I came in, I felt her neck. I was like, hi. I felt her neck to see if she was warm, and she wasn't. But as soon as I patted her neck, she broke water. I was like, you just wanted emotional support, I guess, because I don't know what else to say. Huh? I didn't know what else to say. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but anyway, we now have an Archangelo cult. Who's very friendly. I do have to say, like the global campaign we had, not the global campaign. Yes, the global campaign. The global campaign we had last week. He was very friendly. And this one is kind of the same way. Yes. Oh my goodness. He goes, I'm so sleepy. I just had a lot of milk. I just drank a lot of milk and now I go take a nap. I'm trying to take a nap, but you are giving me all the cuddles. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Oh my goodness. But no, she did great. It was nice and easy. Like as soon as she broke water, I set up my little stuff. Well, I already had most of it out, but I just put everything there. She lay down, and he was out in like 6 pushes? Probably not even that. Didn't even have to help. We just made sure you didn't, because she was a little close to the wall. We just made sure you didn't accidentally hit your head on the wall when you exited. Oh goodness. And I do have to laugh because as soon as he came out, he started nickering. I was just like, oh goodness. And he has been pretty talkative. Yes, you've been pretty talkative. Yes. Oh my goodness, I feel so good. Oh. He goes, I was trying to take a nap, and you just came in and bugged me. I know. I'm sorry. I leave you alone now. Hold on, I gotta get up. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, they're obviously doing fine, I'm pretty sure. I just sat in straw and leggings, and it's like always like a 50-50 chance of whether or not I'm gonna have straw tail on my butt. Anyway, obviously they're doing great, even though, I didn't get any more management. I'll do better. I'll figure it out. I'll stop yapping. Anyway, did anyone else do anything? No, not really. This life is good over here. Again, she's still got like the tiniest bit of wax, just on one side, really. Really nothing much to say at that point. I wouldn't be surprised if she falls toward the ends of this week, but she was also pretty quiet. She didn't really do anything. She currently does not have wax. She was laying down taking a good old nap before I fed them. I just fed them all breakfast, which is, they're all currently finishing up or have already finished. I do gotta say, my personal mare down here, Miss Brown, with the Nashville, she had like the tiniest bit of wax on one nipple, but it was kind of one of those where it's like, yeah, kind of the same boat with Life is Good right now. Honestly, Life is Good had a little bit more than she does, where I was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of there, but like you have to tilt your head and squint to make it there. So she's kind of got the tiniest bit, so which is pretty much what I expected. But yeah, that's kind of everything we got right now. I'm curious if we're gonna end up having more this week, or if that was kind of our one and done and they're gonna kind of wait until next week, just because everyone definitely kind of feels like they're borderline, like sure, they could go this week or they could go next week. It's cool, it's fine. I do have a lot of babies in here right now. Like obviously this is the falling barn, so you expect babies, but I think, who is it? I think is it you? Yeah, I think you and her, they're supposed to be leaving for Indiana here soon because they are being bred to an Indiana style. Like they had these kids here in Kentucky because each state has like a different incentive breeding wise. So if your babies are born in Kentucky or born in Indiana, then the money stuff is different per state when it comes to like racing in said state. And so the owner of these two mares actually owns a stallion that is in Indiana, and so he has these two ladies, and that's where they're going to be going up. They're going to be bred to that stallion. They're going to actually have the babies up in Indiana, and these guys will come back once they're weaned, and we'll take care of them. And then hopefully, if all works out, when your other kiddos are weaned, we'll also get those too, because I'm actually kind of excited to see his kids. This is his first year standing stud up there, so I'm definitely kind of curious to see what they're gonna look like. Anyway, so yes, these two are supposed to be leaving, and then and that's the whole reason they haven't skedaddled out of this barn yet, despite the fact they're older. She's supposed to be headed back to Florida, I think, from what I was told. So that's why she's still here. We haven't moved her yet. But yeah, but obviously we had that big baby boom, and normally we leave babies up here for about a week before we put them out to the older baby barn, so that we can start moving in other mares. Well, obviously, there's just so many babies because we had such a big boom. Yeah. Anyway, I guess we're gonna see if anyone decides to do anything tomorrow. But yeah, at least we had one cute baby. My dog just creeped me out. I didn't realize that's where he was late. Anyway, I need to stop rambling. That is the problem here. Me rambling. It's Wednesday. I have found an egg. She's completely full, happy, and intact. She was just very conveniently on a straw bale. So I've got questions about that. I have a feeling it's probably not fertile, but I candled it. But like realistically, it's probably not fertile. Anyway, I still got an egg. That's how tonight's going so far. Anyway, are we gonna have a baby tonight? We have potentials where like I wouldn't be surprised, but based off of vibes, I'm saying no. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on these three over here. They don't currently have any wax, but they're all three are full enough. We're like, yeah, sure. I wouldn't be surprised. Especially because my Nashville had like the tiniest bit where you like, squinted, tilt your head, and there it was. But currently she doesn't have any. You get to leave, not you. These two that I mentioned were headed to Indiana. Are leaving tomorrow to go to Indiana. I actually have quite a few empty stalls all of a sudden because we moved some of my older kids into the other barn. So I have new faces incoming probably tomorrow, I'm assuming. Anytime we move horses, obviously we, clean them all out and then we bleach everything down and let it air out for a day or two, depending on life. And then even give it like a second bleach treatment before we bring in a new group, just so everything is clean-ish, as clean as we can get it. Anyway, as I was rambling, this life is good. She has been pretty quiet and content. I will say she has not laid down to sleep, which is definitely a little bit newer, and you can tell she kind of wants to, but she's just not physically comfortable doing it at this point. She's got the tiniest bit of wax, right? Like it's there. Oh my God. Listen, I love the new cameras on these phones because they're all fancy schmancy, but sometimes they do that and it's really annoying. Anyway, she's got the littlest bit of wax. Obviously still rocking itty bitty titties though, so she's just, I'm keeping an eye on her because you never know. But I wouldn't be surprised if she waits, And then obviously this two fills. She's just currently vibing. She had the tiniest bit of wax, but really she needs to fill out some more, in my opinion, before she actually has her baby. But you know what? She's a maiden. She's a first timer, so who really knows? Anyway, I guess I'm gonna buckle in and see if anyone decides to do anything. If not, that's fine. I guess I'm just going to stare at this egg because, egg, I guess. It's not even focusing for you, and she's even pretty. The struggle. Oh, there we go. It is Thursday evening. Nobody had a baby last night. That being said, this early voting was definitely pretty shifty. She's not quite there yet because she always is very, very obvious about letting you know when she's going to have her baby. But she's not quite there yet. She's definitely been uncomfortable. I wouldn't put it past her going tonight, but I have a feeling she's more likely a weekend candidate. She doesn't have wax as of yet, but she doesn't have to have wax in order to foal. So, but she's definitely, I'm keeping a closer eye on her because she was like, just never stayed in one spot for too long last night. I felt kind of bad for her. She was not the only one who did that. However, this two fills down here, she's the first timer, the maiden, that is kind of, she was all tits, no bag, and now she's kind of starting to fill out. She was also pretty uncomfortable last night, but only for like the first half of the evening. Oh goodness, the wind. But yeah, so she was kind of uncomfortable, and then she did settle down. She lay down, took a good old nap, and she was quiet afterwards. So baby was shifting and grooving and getting into position. But anyway, she's been pretty chill since then. Day shift is very convinced, for whatever reason, The Life is Good is going to go tonight. I asked because I was like, they were like, what time is she going to go tonight? And I was like, tonight? They're like, yeah. And I was like, I don't know. She didn't fill me in. Last night she was quiet. She didn't do anything. She pretty much stayed in the same spot. Maybe a smidge, like, shifty, but nothing crazy. She's pretty chill. So I guess she did something in the daytime that got daytime thinking she's gonna have a baby tonight. I wouldn't put it past her, but like, I also wouldn't say, hey, she's gonna hold off to the weekend. That's kind of currently how I feel. I do have new hellos to say. We have this mare who is carrying a maximum security. I think she has a while, but who knows? I also have this mare. Oh, if you remember earlier this year, I had kind of mentioned I accidentally acquired 2 new mares this year. Basically, the deal is that the baby they're currently carrying, I have nothing to do with. But once the mare is weaned, she will come back, and then she is my problem. And this is I already introduced you all to Mavis, and she's already foaled. She headed back, and she's hopefully going to be bred to charge it later this year. But this is the second one. This is Gal, and she is carrying a epicenter. So the epicenter baby I have nothing to do with, but any kiddo afterwards I will. Now, admittedly, I had made a mating decision video, right? Because I said I was going to do a longer video talking about all my mating decisions going into this year on who I'm going to breed to and why, and any past decisions, just kind of because I know you all are a little bit behind compared to TikTok on, some past mating decisions that I've made. And so that was the whole plan, right? It was going to make a little bit longer video talking about all past mating decisions I've made in the future. I did it. I didn't really love it. I thought it was too rambly and less informative. So I scrapped it and decided I was going to redo it. And I've been holding off on it because originally I was told that she was due later than she was actually due. I thought she was due like middle of May. So I was not going to breed her. I was just going to skip a year, right? She's obviously not due middle of May. She's due, I think, next week, 2 weeks, something like that. She's due, like, now, kind of. And so we've kind of been having the conversation on whether or not we are going to give her a chance this year. The old owner has had issues with her, is kind of why, I've ended up with her. And she didn't have a baby last year, so she had a year off, right? And they bred her last year to one stallion, and they bred her, I think, 2 or 3 times, and she would not get pregnant. And so they switched stallions, and they bred her, and she got in cover the first try. So it could have just been that they were not that the mare and stallion were not compatible for whatever reason, and that's why the pregnancy wasn't catching, or it could have just been, life. Anyway, that being said, so that's why she's foaling so late this year, despite not having a baby last year. I know. And so we've kind of been talking, and I am all for giving her at least one chance, because you never know. It could have just been that the old owner had bad luck. I have currently thrown my hat in the ring with the offer of Army Mule if we're going to breed her. But nothing's been set in stone. So that's actually part of the reason I've been holding off on making an official video on that, is I've been waiting to see what exactly the mating decision is for her going to be. In all honesty, we might not even breed her. Like, we might just go ahead and stick with the original plan. But like, I was told one thing and that was a lie. So I was like, you know what, we'll see. But yeah, so I might wait to actually make that video until I get confirmed that everyone's either pregnant or not pregnant, just because it's been so long at this point. Just might as well. And actually at this stage, I do have one that's already been confirmed pregnant. So and that was the one that didn't have a baby this year. So obviously I've got these 3 for how many? I've lost track of how many mares I have. No one else is pregnant, because everyone else is either currently carrying this year's kid, or they've already had this year's kid, and we don't breed them on full heat. We always skip that cycle and do the next cycle. Anyway, I've rambled. We have more new hellos to say. I've got this mare. We're not going to see her face, apparently. I do have to say, she's got the biggest googly eyes. Actually, it's the other mare. Yeah, you can see the other mare. But this mare, it's just her face. Whenever we see her later, you'll see. And this mare, this mare also has really big eyes. I wonder if she'll let me. Ibida. Oh goodness, look at those eyeballs. Hers are not as big as the other mare, but they are also very weirdly big. But both of these ladies are carrying Archangelos. Giant eyeballed children. It was a little weird. I looked at them the first time. I was like, what is that? You look like an alien. And then we have this mare over here who is carrying a highly motivated. You all saw her last year. She was or not mine. But she was the mare who had the, look, what happened to your hair, woman? She's like, I don't know. I actually just roached my retired guy. My retired guy, like, every freaking year, his mane never gets very long, but it gets knotted up so easily. And where he's older and retired and he hates being in the barn, I always just roach his mane. So he's shaved all year. He's just happier. Anyway, I guess we're going to have to work on your mane tonight because that's, can't have that. Anyway. This mare is carrying a highly motivated. She had the Vacoma last year that went in the middle of the daytime, so she got to have an outdoor baby. She was actually one that I requested day shift. I was like, can you go ahead and move her? Baby's currently sitting sideways, obviously, but she definitely is kind of relaxed behind. This is not really a great... There you go, that's better. No, it's not. It's not when you cock your hip, woman. But she's getting pretty relaxed behind and she's filling out, so she's something I wouldn't be overly surprised if she goes next week. But yeah, that's currently everyone caught up. Well, I guess we're going to sit and see if day shift is correct in their theory that the life is good is going to go tonight. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying, like, she didn't do anything last night to make me think she was going to, but, maybe she does something during the daytime. Well, I guess we'll see if they're correct and the life is good is going to go tonight. And I'm definitely kind of curious to see what the early voting is going to do because she's just been uncomfortable. So, I guess we're just gonna do what I've been complaining about and just waiting and seeing. It is now Friday morning, and I'm kind of wondering if day shift is gonna get their own baby. They were like very convinced that the life is good was gonna go tonight, and I was kind of like, why? And they didn't really specify, so I was kind of like, okay, whatever. Maybe she did something in the daytime. I think I've got like 20 minutes left of my shift, and I honestly have a feeling she's not going to go before I leave, but I'm wondering if I'm going to get a phone call to come back and follow her because I'm pretty sure day shift has a breeding shed run to do. And so if that's the case, and she falls before they get back, then I'll probably be back here in a couple hours anyway. Anyway, this is what she currently looks like. Definitely a lot more wax, things of that nature. But she was quiet, comfortable, content all night long. And then I fed everyone at 5:30, right? And not long after I fed her, she started acting uncomfortable. Not like in a dramatic sense, but definitely kind of like walking a little bit. She's got really, like every time I walked by her stall, she started nickering at me and she's very friendly. Suddenly she like wants to keep smelling me. And so either one or two things is happening. Either baby is getting into position because baby was being very, very active during this time. So baby could have just been moving into position. If that's the case, I expect baby within 48 hours. Or she's kind of thinking about foaling here soon. Maybe, I wouldn't say like before I leave. I would say probably like maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 4 o'clock, more of a daytime baby. So yeah, I like how as soon as I pull off the phone too, she stops walking. I know. You have a whole other bucket in there. This mare behind me, she likes to drink out of one bucket in specific, and then she likes to put her empty bucket inside of her full bucket. And I'm just like, that defeats the purpose of the second bucket. Anyway, so yeah, I have a feeling, I don't know what she's doing. She's doing something. Maybe day shift will get another baby. I feel like they've had quite a few babies this year. But I wouldn't put it past them to have one or two more before the end of the year. But yeah, she's kind of the only one currently doing things. Obviously, the two Foals has had wax. It's, again, teeny tiny, itty bitty. The gray mare with the early voting, who was really uncomfortable the night before, she's been pretty quiet tonight. And then my Nashville, who I had said, what was it, like 2 days ago? I was like, if you tilt your head and squint, then I'm pretty sure she has wax, and it could very much be imaginary. It's not imaginary anymore. She definitely has wax. So yeah, that's kind of the current vibe. I have a bunch that are kind of just, they've been quiet and content. They have wax. It's just a matter of what they decide to do. So I guess really my question is, are we going to have a baby in the daytime, or is she gonna wait until tomorrow, or whenever I come back from not being nocturnal, or no, whenever I get in a nap. Let's have a nap. It is now Friday evening. I had thought This Life is Good was maybe gonna go in the daytime because, you know, she was kind of acting uncomfortable when I left. And she ended up not, so she's still got baby inside of her. Actually, when I got to see her outside for a bit because I had to do some things during the daytime today, unfortunately, against my will. And she was really quiet, calm, relaxed outside. So now that she's been inside for a little bit, she has been minorly on and off uncomfortable. She's now dripping milk a little bit. So I definitely think baby should be here within the next like 48 hours. I'm definitely leaning more toward tonight rather than tomorrow, but you never know. Anyway, she's not the only one we're keeping an eye on. This Two Feels, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on her because she's a first timer. You know, you never really know. She's getting pretty close. Oh goodness, little spoiled cat. Who else do we have? Oh, I also have 2 new faces to say hello to because they finally fixed my water. That's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling. Anyway, so yeah, I got 2 new faces to say hello to, but obviously those 2 down there aren't the only ones for watching as well. This chestnut over here, she's one of our new ones. She's carrying an Olympiad. Now, here's the thing. She's got a while before she foals. She's technically on my list. She is the very, very, very last name. So she's got a while, but we went ahead and just brought her in because why not? And then we also have this lady who's carrying a Mo Donegal. Yes. I still think I have maybe 1 or 2 that are shipping in. I think maybe potentially. I know for a fact that I'm supposed to be getting 1. And I don't know what else. So anyway. Anyways, those are those 2 new ones. And then down here, we're keeping an eye on my personal mare, Miss Brown, and her Nashville, because she does have wax. I know, you know, I was like, originally, it was like, if you tilt your head and squint, she does have wax now. She's proper big girl wax. I'm also keeping an eye on this early voting. She's made it very clear that she's not quite ready yet, but she's been very grumpy and very uncomfortable, and it's just, you know, she's over it. And then also this Olympiad over here, we're keeping an eye on her just because I don't really know her, and she's getting there. Like, she's kind of in the same boat, I feel like, as the Two Feels. We're like, she's getting there bit by bit, but she's not quite there yet. But where I don't really know what they're going to do, and they probably really don't know what they're going to do, we're just going to keep an eye on them. It's not going to hurt anybody. Anyway, that's the current vibe. Really, the main question is the Life is Good going to go tonight, or is she going to hold off for tomorrow? I'm not going to lie, it's really freaking cold. I think it's supposed to be a little bit warmer tomorrow. But also, I have a feeling, because I think we have a client who has a horse running at Kingland tomorrow. And she's technically on the also eligible list. So in order for her to run, somebody has to scratch. You know, she may or may not actually run tomorrow. But I have a feeling if she doesn't foal, then she might wait. If we try to sneak over to Kingland to watch that filly run, then she might, you know, that's when she'll go. Ironically, actually, the filly that is running tomorrow has the same owner as this lady. So they're not related by blood in any way, but they do have the same owner. You can see where she's kind of rocking back and forth. She is over it. Yeah, I got a feeling baby's more going to be tonight rather than tomorrow. But you never know. She might settle down here in the next hour and change her mind. Isn't that right? I have to laugh. This kid is just obnoxious. Last night, I don't know how or what. I guess she went to roll and got stuck a little bit. So I opened the door to flip her back over. And Mama was laying down too. And so Mama's head was like right here. And so I gave Mama a pat on the head. And this kid had all the room in the world to do this nonsense. And instead, she jumped over Mom and got herself stuck in this corner. And she's over here like, oh my God, someone's touching me. I'm like, I'm going to have to touch you now to get you out from Mom. Because Mom is just like, whatever, I don't care. I'm over it. And she's like, I'm stuck. I'm like, Look at that face. The face of mischief and guilt. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I guess we're gonna buckle in and see what this lady's decide to do. I don't know what it is specifically about 10 o'clock, but here's the thing. At 10 o'clock every night, we go turn off the lights in the other barns, right? Because there's other barns, other horses. Every time we get to 10 o'clock, Oh, some yoga. Goodness. They start acting up. It must really just be prime hour. Would you let me go turn off lights, or do I need to stay and take care of you? No, we're gonna stay and take care of you, because that was a little minor contraction. Oh, yes. All right, let me go get my supplies. It's like, yes, please. Yeah, I know. Stinky. Listen, I already showed TikTok. I have to show you all too, right? Just because that's the way it is. I did not make this list. For the record, someone else makes this list and gives it to me. Anyway, this is the mare that foaled, right? We all see right here. It says, life is good, right? Life is good. Owner texted me. Mind you, it's 2 a.m. right now. And he texted me, he goes, by the way, it is an Uncle Mo, not a life is good. I'm like, listen to me. I wasn't the one who made the list. It is not my fault. Don't yell at me. Anyway, so obviously I've been calling her a life is good because that was on the list. Okay? I can acknowledge the fact that this one over here, not this one over here. Yes, this one over here. I will get you momentarily. That was my fault. I called her a global, or I called her an Archangelo when she was a global campaign. That was my bad. This thing was not my fault. Anyway, we now have an Uncle Mo filly. That is not a Life is Good filly. You were an Uncle Mo filly. Actually, fun fact, she's a 3/4 sibling to Golden Pal. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I don't think I've gotten a lot of footage of her and her bonding because it's mainly been me and her bonding. She is kind of like borderline dummy full, and so I feel really bad. Okay, speaking of my vet, here she is. My vet is coming to give her a dummy cocktail. It's 2 a.m. I felt so bad. Not only that, but mom's not releasing the placenta. So that's the current vibes. I guess we will return after you have been given medication to do the proper stuff. I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm not entirely sure where I left off in that last video because just listen, it was supposed to be a simple thing, and then that simple thing turned into all the freaking drama because why wouldn't it? They're fine. Don't get me wrong. They are fine. I don't know. I don't really know. They're sleeping it off. They're both on drugs. They just made it a lot more complicated than it needed to be. Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. She's like, I told you. No, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me anything. It's fine. Anyway, they're both fine. They just were all the drama for right now. Luckily, no one else did anything, which is probably a good thing considering we were focused on them. Why are you sleeping like that? Look, you weirdo. He's got his head turned like a... Look at that. Weirdo. Anyway, no one else did anything, which is probably a good thing because we were obviously focused on that kid over there. Is Weekend gonna have a kid? I'm kind of leaning toward no. If they do, it's gonna either be my Nashville, maybe the two Phils over there. But yeah, that's kind of the current vibe, I guess. Anyway, I guess we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye, and we will catch everybody up on what happens next week. Listen, I'm sorry that this last bit was short. It is currently, I'm supposed to be gone already. My vet just left, so it took a little bit longer than expected. It's fine. It's fine. We will see you all next week. Where are you going?
Who got a good Olympia last year? Was it Terry?
Yeah.
Boy, the man.
I mean, Olympia he's a gorgeous horse. Oh my god.
I lied to you all slightly. Here's the thing. Obviously, I don't work weekends. Right, phenomenal. But my personal horses are obviously still here, and so I bring them in the afternoon, and I bring them in. They're currently eating, and so I always do my checks around this time, make sure everyone's nice and fine before I go do my personal kids again. Right, phenomenal. Well, when I came up to check everybody yesterday, this mare, I was just like, I had a feeling. I was like, she's gonna have a baby here. And I was like, she's probably gonna have a baby here the next 30 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't think she's actually gonna wait for night shift to get here. And sure enough, she did not. Nope. So this is mine. Bless poor weekend shift. Now listen, weekend shift had that baby boom where they had 6 babies in a night, right? So I told them, I was like, you all got greedy. This is what happened. Because so she had, this is an Olympiad colt, by the way. Anyway, so she had this colt at 6:30ish, and so weekend shift rolls up and she's like, how dare you took my kid. I was like, I did take your kid. And I told him, I was like, listen, you have the chance to have another one, right? I didn't articulate it very well on Friday because the other kid left me very, very busy, right? So I was a little distracted. I didn't articulate it well, but she did have plenty of wax. And I was like, yeah, honestly, when I was leaving, I was like, I have a feeling she might go sometime today. And day shift was like, yeah, she was pretty uncomfortable. So it wasn't really a surprise that we ended up having an early daytime or late daytime, early evening baby, right? All right, phenomenal. Anyway, it doesn't even end there. Because I delivered this kid, right? So the little Olympiad colt taking a nap. I delivered him yesterday afternoon, whatever. It is currently Sunday. And bless poor weekend shift, okay? We even sent it out in the group chat, and I told them, I was like, listen, it's just luck for all the freaking babies you had 2 weeks ago, okay? It's payback. Then they were just like, boo. Oh no, your light is on. Somebody didn't leave lights on like they were supposed to. Your light is on. Oh goodness, sounds. Anyway, so yeah, we work 7 to 7 at nights, right? Guess who was born at 11 o'clock today, huh? What are you doing? You're so cute. Did you do good? This is her very first baby. And, yeah. And I was really surprised to see how much leg. I really didn't think you were going to be this big. No, I didn't. But we also had a 2 fills filly. So yeah, day shift I feel like has had quite a few kiddos this year. But look at that leg. Yeah, I don't know where you were hiding it because Mama really didn't look that big. Day shift was very convinced her mom was not pregnant. And I was like, she's definitely pregnant. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I promise. She's just carrying light. Oh my goodness. What you doing? I don't know. Hi. You seem friendly. Yeah, that's probably good. Your mama has got 2 brain cells combined, so I'm glad at least you took some of them. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anyway, yeah, so poor weekend shift. We technically have had 2 weekend babies, and they have not foaled any of them. I'll say I fold that one, and day shift fold this one. Ugh. I was cleaning my room when I get the text message, and I was like, you could have let me know. I could have helped. And they're like, honestly, it was fine. So anyway, poor weekend shift. Are they still going to have a chance of a kid? I mean, yeah, sure, there's a chance. I mean, oh goodness. Kerplunk. You taking a nap? She goes, yep. Who did I say I thought they had a chance? Well, I had mentioned the 2 fills to them. I was like, yeah. And sure, if they were like, yeah, she was stretchy last night. But obviously, they still have the potential of my personal mare, Miss Brown, with the Nashville, except for I realized that next week is Land Rover or Defender or whatever the hell they're calling it now. They change it every other year, and I get lost. So, yeah, and without fail, every single year since I've had my own mares, one of my mares has foaled. One of my personal mares has foaled during Land Rover weekend. So she actually might hold off until next week, but I really think that would be pushing it. She's had wax on and off just a little bit. She currently doesn't have it on. But yeah, so she's definitely a potential. And honestly, this early voting, I have a feeling she's going to wait for me to get back. But she's been, goodness, she's been pretty uncomfortable. Baby is moving and grooving, doing things, making her mad. But yeah, she's still been pretty grumpy, so I think she still has a little bit more to go. Anyway, poor weekend shift, but maybe they'll get lucky. And when we actually come back on Monday, I will have a new child to introduce you all to officially from weekend. Or they're just going to get shut out again. That could happen too.